Welcome to our weekly movie talk. We're deep within the eerie season of the year. Today we're gonna talk two movies which I think you just have to cover together because you have a lot of similarities. We're gonna talk From Beyond from 1986 and the first Re-Animator movie from 1985. As always with me, my trusty companion and good friend Sean. How are you today, Sean?
I am doing good, man. I am ready to reanimate and come back to life after this 5 hours of sleep and on a long night. So
Yeah. Fantastic. And I have to pretend for 1.5 hours or something that I want to talk about anything else than the Mr. Olympia contest. No, but it's a really good like for a pause before the final start for the first day. It's really good to talk a little bit about horror movies.
yeah.
Like Hello Magic Lasso, we don't have Adrienne Babu Tatas today, but there's some sweet Barbara Crampton
Oh yeah.
boobies.
And we definitely got to touch on Reanimator. Like that was my only negative of the movie. The ridiculous Dr. Hill and his obsession with her. I was like, come on, man.
That definitely like goes like down like the creepy
Super
scale.
creepy.
I actually think it's so uncomfortable, but a horror movie should be uncomfortable, and I really think that. Uh, Actually, I think I don't see it as a weak point. I think it's like a very interesting and very like it really makes you dislike the character even more. And I think this is a very interesting move, especially in a movie where like Herbert West is the big bad. Like,
Like Herbert West starts off as very creepy himself, with his obsession with reanimation and his laboratory and the whole thing with the cat. I was like, yo, I, that I'm kicking his ass. He's doing that shit in my place right there. But you know, by the time he gets what's his name, Kane, to help him out, you
mhm.
know, and you see more of Hill, you start hating Hill more because of how just creepy he is. Even when he comes back with no body, with his body decapitated, just severed head, and I'm like, yo, this motherfucker's like the lowest of the low of creepiness.
But also, I really like that because he somehow makes Herbert West look a little bit sympathetic before you then realize what of a despicable human being Herbert West actually is.
Yeah, like they're both despicable, but
Yeah,
Hill
different
takes,
different types of despicable.
yeah, like Hill takes it to like the next level of despicable.
Yeah, it's like both were a card for the title, but Hill is a little bit more despicable.
Yeah, I mean, at least Herbert is dedicated to his work. He's dedicated to proving Hill wrong, and that he can prove the theory of 12, minutes or more. In terms of the brain, and there's a lot of brain when we come to talking these two movies. That's like the main part of these two movies is
Yeah,
the brain function.
which is totally fitting because, of course, both movies are very loose adaptation of short stories by H.P. Lovecraft. Of course, we have From Beyond, which is an adaptation from Beyond, which was written by him in the 1920s and like got first published 14 years later, 1943, in the fantasy fan. So, which is also interesting. Like we write something, and then 14 years later, it's gonna be published, which gives a lot of writers hopefully hope. Not that H.P. Lovecraft died a rich writer or anything, but he got published. And then, of course, we have the Re-Animator, which is, of course, based uh, on the continuation story Herbert West Re-Animator, which was published from 21 to 22, which is 100 years this year. Crazy, eh? Just thought about it, yeah. Which was actually a story that H.P. Lovecraft hated because it was a rehash of Frankenstein. So he decided to make basically a parody of Frankenstein with the story. Personally, I really like both stories. You can tell they're very loosely adapted. Of course, they're both movies are directed by Stuart Gordon, who's sadly passed away last year.
Yeah.
And Stuart Gordon, for better or for worse, he's also a very comedic director. So he always adds some humor, and with some Lovecraft adaptations, it works. With others, not so much. I think that Re-Animator benefited a lot from the comedic style, which also is probably because also the story was a satire and it fits very well. But I think that humor in From Beyond takes it a lot of the cosmic horror, and I think the movie could have been ultimately even eerier, like even more eldritch. But yeah, hey Greyman, thanks for
What's up,
joining.
man?
And yeah, both are great movies.
Yeah, like I'm with you. I like Re-Animator more, and with From Beyond, I really like the movie. It just felt like a lot more could have been explored. And I looked at the runtime of From Beyond was shorter than Re-Animator, and I was pretty surprised at. And I know they made cuts to the movie and took out some things to it because they had to get that R rating, but like it felt like a lot more could have been explored in that movie.
It's interesting because I mean I couldn't find the Blu-ray today, so but it's also a movie having different versions.
Yeah,
and it's one of the rare occasions where the US cut is 86 minutes and the German cut was 100 minutes. Which was interesting, but actually I really prefer the US cut because it's tighter, and 100 minutes is a little bit too long, so I totally get why they cut out the scenes for the US cut.
Is this Re-Animator or
it's a Re-Animator.
Okay, because I watched both cuts.
Mm-hmm.
I watched both cuts.
Yeah. I think the 86-minute cut is superior.
True. I mean, it's not like the extended cut gives you additional stuff.
Yeah.
But, I watched it and there was no problem with it. But yeah, I agree. The 86 one is a lot more tighter.
Yeah.
But with From Beyond, I felt like even with some of the extended cuts, a lot more could have still been explored. Like I feel like out of the two movies, that one needed a sequel. Just from the standpoint of there's a lot to touch on with that story. Whereas I didn't really feel that Re-Animator needed sequels.
I actually really like the sequels because they also cover, of course, like later parts of the story, especially like the war, which was touched in Bride of the Re-Animator.
Bride was good, but I don't really watch it as much as I do the original. And
That's true.
Yeah, and the third one I just felt it was kind of unnecessary. Like it had its moments, but it's not one that I would generally watch.
Yeah, the third one I think has a very good finale. Like the ending that it really gets going. The beginning is strong. The middle part is a little bit you can tell they're like in a prison. They have no real idea what they're doing. I'm a big fan of Brian Houston, especially the movies he did in Spain. He did some really fantastic movies. Of course, he also did Faust, Love of the Damned, the comic book adaptation, which I think is totally underrated. Also with Jeffrey Combs in there.
And that's what makes these movies great is the performance of Jeffrey Combs. Like
he's so good.
And I know we're going to be talking in a few weeks, Dr. Mordred, his performance there. So, like, he's just a phenomenal actor. And he really gets the love for the H.P. Lovecraft style movies.
Talking about H.P. Lovecraft, we have one of the biggest H.P. Lovecraft fans here. Robert, the comic book G-Spot. Thanks for joining.
G-Man.
Yeah, probably Robert has watched the movies like 1,000 times or something. But yeah, that's interesting because, like we talked before, with Stuart Gordon, it's a very loose adaptation. You get some humor, but nevertheless, every Lovecraft fan loves these movies. And also both movies, when I did a special about H.P. Lovecraft for an Austrian movie site in 2018 or 19, one of these years, in my top 5, these both movies were in there, and it's interesting because there's actually one Stuart Gordon Lovecraft adaptation which I like more, but I have rated lower because of the effects, which is Dagon, which Brian Usner also did in Spain with Stuart Gordon, and that's a fantastic movie. Just you can really see that the effects were not as good in Spain.
Yep.
But yeah, 3 out of my top 5 Lovecraft adaptations were by Stuart Gordon, and from Re-Animator and From Beyond were, I think, 3 and 4.
And Gordon and Usna has great chemistry when it comes to doing these movies. You know, like
Yeah.
the aesthetics and the cinematography and stuff, they all come together and make sure these movies are formed out of respect and love for the Lovecraftian lore.
Yeah, and both did the Honey I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah.
The effects, yeah.
Future movie, y'all.
Exactly. I haven't watched that one since I was a kid.
Yeah, it's been like on and off since I watched that movie, but I loved it though growing up.
I was loved as a kid.
But yeah, these like Re-Animator has the subject of the brain. Like both movies have brain topics, and I love Wes and Hill back and forth, and we get a glimpse of Hill having this type of psychic powers. Like you don't know if it's 100% pure that he has these psychic powers, but he has the power to have these people, change their perception of another person and manipulating. So when he encounters Wes and said, "Give me my notes," and Wes just gives him his notes, it's like, yeah, there's something more to Hill than we think, in terms of psychic powers and telling people, what he feels that they need to do. I gave him life. So I've like, there's similarities between West and Hill and then Paterius and Crawford in these two movies.
Yeah, because a big theme, of course, of H.P. Lovecraft is madness. And madness comes from the brain. And some things sometimes have to enter your brain or affect it in order that you get mad. And there's the cosmic horror that comes into place. Which, of course, is not as much a part in Re-Animator because that's more science-based.
Yeah.
But, of course, in From Beyond, from a different dimension, which brings not only extreme satisfaction, but also comes with some bad effects.
And we talked about it last year, but In the Mouth of Madness definitely has more of that cosmic horror in terms of going into a
Totally.
And just
there's a lot of movie that are which is also so interesting, which we also talked about back then. As much as I love these Lovecraft adaptations, they're way more better movies that are inspired by H.P. Lovecraft and not adapted from his stories, like Mouth of Madness, for example, or one of my favorites, obviously, is another movie which has Beyond in the name, in the English name, The Beyond, by Lucio Fulci, which is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. And of course, Alien is very much inspired by H.P. Lovecraft. Further, so there's a lot of fantastic movies, and that's the thing. You really have sometimes to try hard to find a good H.P. Lovecraft adaptation. most likely you have to look some of the stuff by Stuart Gordon. He did most of his were good. I think the only one I didn't really like was Castle Freak from 1995. I think it was rather a dull movie, but also a movie that I haven't covered so much because it's a short movie and I don't really. It didn't qualify as a short movie for my H.P. Lovecraft list because it would have been on there. Is Dreams in the Witch House, which he did, I think, for the Masters of Horror series, which was a fantastic one. But yeah, it's really tough to find a good H.P. Lovecraft adaptation out there, and Stuart Gordon did most of them.
Yeah, I mean, I remember, when we briefly talked about, I covered The Void last year, and I know you didn't specifically liked it. I personally liked it, for different reasons. And while it's not 100% Lovecraftian, I love the lore in terms of the creature designs and stuff.
Yeah, the creature designs were great. The Void, you can totally see that The Void was directed by two special effects artists.
Yeah,
so it suffers a lot from the story and character department. The effects are amazing. It's just with the movie that you can see its shortcomings, and
it could have been a lot tighter and better.
Yeah,
had they gave the story some more push to it.
Yeah, I think that's even more painful because it has so much potential.
Yeah, and I love it more for the cosmic horror side and the special effects as opposed to the story. The story is okay at best, but
I absolutely.
Go ahead.
I absolutely dislike the Color of Space movie, the recent one with Nicolas Cage. My biggest problem with it was that it totally went against the original story in terms of that you see the movie from the family's point of view. And by seeing the family decaying and going into this and being in fact affected by the color, took a lot of tension out of the movie. I really prefer it when you see it from the perspective of the narrator. And I think this was done way better in the German movie Die Farbe, which was my second favorite Lovecraft adaptation, because I think the decay of the family is way better shown when you only see them with pause and then see them again and you see how how things have changed, and also it's alpacas. They're alpacas. Yeah, I love Nicolas Cage, but it was not that kind of movie.
You either love him or hate him when it comes to Nick Cage, man.
Yeah, and I think the movie was also a little bit too long, and it just I didn't get any good vibes from it watching it. I was very much looking forward to it, but I was really disappointed, sadly. Especially after Mandy. Mandy was a fantastic movie. I really thought that this one could have a little bit more atmosphere. Yeah, probably. So, but if you want to watch the best, it's a little bit astray here. But the best H.P. Lovecraft adaptation is directed by Ben O'Brien, who wrote the script for Alien, and it's The Resurrected. This is the movie that comes the closest to H.P. Lovecraft's writing.
Nice.
Yeah, the German was really good. And the director of the German movie, I think he's originally from Korea. And he's right now trying to get the Dreamlands movie going, H.P. Lovecraft's Dreamlands. So I really hope that gets going.
See, that's the thing. We all have different opinions on movies.
It's completely fine. Yeah.
Yeah. This. I like I said, I agree with you on Re-Animator that I like it more, but. there's something about From Beyond that I want to like it more because of the
Yeah,
effects and the
it's so
story,
fast.
and I like the characters in From Beyond because they're in this situation where, they start the resonator, and you see the enlargement of the pineal glands, which is like the important part of this
Yeah,
movie. And, you know, we see from the character of Paterius is that he has this sadomasochism pleasure of pain. We see that through the video that Bubba plays. And, he gets these new sensations of pleasure and what he wants to explore, because that was his whole point of creating is to explore exploration. We always, humans like to explore different things, and once we find that thing that we're exploring for, we can't let it go. And once he crossed to the other
for
side
better
and
or for worse. Yeah.
yeah, he crossed to the other side and comes back as this mutated creature that originally bit his head off, and that was a pretty cool effect. We see it later in the movie, but he comes back with the human mind of the doctor, but the body of the monster, and he just completely loses it. He wants, the first thing he thinks of is fucking rape, man, sexual assault. He sees a female and he immediately, says, "Come to me, my dear." Like, but it's fitting to his character. You see it in that
Totally.
videotape, and it ties to his character, so it makes sense for him to feel that way. And
Yeah,
then
like it takes like his dark desires and multiplies them.
yes, that's the thing with the resonator is that it evolves, it increases the pineal gland, and you start to see different sights beyond the dimension, and everybody starts feeling this sensation, especially Catherine. She suffers the most because she's the one that wants to turn it back on. And it's that machine that no matter what, you get that sense of sense and pleasure that you want more of it. And that's, I think, what I like about this movie is that no matter how evil that machine is, you can't turn away from it. Whereas
Yeah.
Cramp Crawford wants to get away from that machine. He wants to destroy it, but you know, she saw it as a way of scientific research. We could help the schizophrenia and all the people in the crazy house. This can be some research that we can work in the future. But there's always a price that you pay when you're dealing with stuff like that. And after seeing Proterius, he's like, okay, maybe we should not fuck with this.
Which is also
I'm with Bubba. We need to get the hell out of here, man. He
yeah,
was the smartest one of all.
totally. Yeah. Sadly, it didn't end well for him.
No.
We got a fantastic effect, but it didn't end well for him. Yeah, I think also have
No.
blah, blah, like the
Hey, they're so close to each other, though. Sometimes it'll slip out.
yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah. I think I'll not only have such a fascination for this movie or for the topic because you get like really a glimpse into another dimension, and you really wonder what else is out there. This movie like shows you there's way more out there without showing what everything is out there. And the other thing, that this movie was my first encounter with H.P. Lovecraft, with the topic. I watched it as a kid, probably way before I should have watched it. I think my parents were out of house, and this was running at midnight on a German television, on a channel, and I've seen it, and ever since I was like, "Who's this H.P. Lovecraft?" And I want to see more of his movies. Because of course it was H.P. Lovecraft's Re-Animator, and back then, as a kid, before I knew that he was an author, I thought it must have been the director. Hey, Smiley Tory, thanks for joining. I hope you're well, and also greetings to the captain.
hey, you should tell that to Bubba Gray Man, because because that's what the resonator did. Now it stimulated the pleasures, and we saw that with Catherine.
Oh yeah, it's also very interesting, and always love me some letter, which is movie uh, also not only made me an H.P. Lovecraft fan, but also a letter fan.
Yeah,
But you can also totally see why it's always so interesting and why to compare it, of course, with Re-Animator. Not only both movies have fantastic soundtracks, especially one from Re-Animator, because it really gives the character a recurring theme that works very well. Both movies were scored by Richard Band, and the other thing, of course, is because the main actors are Jeffrey Combs and Barbara Crampton. Both, of course, legends in the field of horror. And the interesting thing with both movies is that they totally switch side in terms of who's the dominant character and who is the submissive character. Of course, with Reanimator, Jeffrey Combs as Herbert West is basically always on top, and she's pretty much like in a victim role, while in From Beyond, his
she's on
character,
top.
she's on top, and he's basically such a beta in this movie, which is interesting because in the H.P. Lovecraft story, he's actually the big bad.
Yeah,
And the character of Pretorius is not in the story, but funny enough, the character Pretorius, of course, taken from Frankenstein,
yeah.
which is interesting because H.P. Lovecraft hated Frankenstein, especially when he wrote the Re-Animator story.
But his version of Frankenstein is definitely a lot more creepier. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And
But
it's
still,
funny, like the short
there's a
story
great
had
top.
Crawford as the villain, and the narrator is narrating this whole thing, and he's a part of the story. You know,
Yeah.
so it's interesting how they changed that dynamic in the film and made Crawford like the sympathetic person.
I totally recommend them, especially if you like horror movies. You will love both of them. Both are exploring very, very dark corners, but also have some comedic elements, as we already touched before. And I think they're just fantastic movies, not only for the season but all year round. Especially since both movies have an ideal running time, and you can watch them multiple times. Hey, Sleepy Rita, thanks for joining. Greetings.
What's up, Damien?
Hmm. It's a moment.
I like some of the smaller moments that made me laugh, like in From Beyond, when they pull up to Pateria's house, and you see just the glimpse of the street they on, Benevolent Street, and I'm like, man, Dr. Pretorius don't even. He's nowhere near nice at all when you really look at his character. Like, he is complete deranged. He is
Yeah, if
completely
you've seen,
deranged.
yeah, totally. Damien, if you have seen Reanimator, you will also love From Beyond. Both movies basically go hand in hand, despite not. Despite not being in the same universe per se. If you are not seeing like the Lovecraft universe as one big continuation, which would be crazy because Jeffrey Combs would have a lot of different incarnations in there. Interesting enough is also, I think From Beyond actually would have been also a very interesting topic, like you already said before, like to continue on, like either like in further movies, in TV series. Like I don't think we ever got a From Beyond comics, but we got multiple Reanimator comics.
Yeah, I
And
think
fantastic.
I think it's because of Herbert West and
Yeah,
the
it's
idea
just
of
character.
reanimation. It's just like this, they see that as more of a continuation, in terms of that character. Whereas there really isn't, as great as the acting is in From Beyond, you know, there really isn't a character that makes you want to see more of. You know, whereas
Yeah,
Herbert West is
except for
just,
the convention. Or Barbara Crampton's character. I would like to see more of her.
yeah, but in a different light. But Herbert West just feels like an ideal character that you can make
Yeah.
multiple movies with and comic books with. Whereas From
Just
Beyond,
something.
I just see something more of the story need to be told a lot more in terms of exploration of it.
Yeah, but there's some fantastic comics with Re-Animator. The Vampirella Re-Animator crossover is way better than it has any right to be. It's a really
Yeah,
fantastic
I did
crossover.
not think that was going to work when they announced it.
But, yeah, me neither. But it worked very
And
well.
this was a time, and they still do it. But when they were doing so many Vampirella crossovers, like I think this was before or after the Aliens one, and I'm like, man, they
Yeah.
really doing all these crossovers with Vampy. It's like,
But that one worked really well. Like I was disappointed by the Alien one in terms of her outfit. The covers were amazing. The story was decent, but I think you could have done a little bit more with it. But the Re-Animated Vampirella crossover, fantastic. And also recently, Dynamite had an Indiegogo campaign where they had also like a World of Cthulhu comic, which crosses over like a Call of Cthulhu and Reanimator, which was actually one of the few Dynamite campaigns I got on time when it was fulfilled, which was a very interesting story and sadly went a little bit under the radar, but I really hope they will touch in the future upon it because it really brought really made a very interesting way together with with Cthulhu.
one of my favorite scenes from this movie Reanimator is when they reanimated the corpse, in the morgue. And
Yeah.
it's a young corpse with a tight, mind, and they reanimate him, and he comes wild. Like the first doses didn't work, so Herbert was determined to make it work, so he upped the dosage, and next thing you know, the corpse came alive and started kicking their ass and stuff. And I loved it how he took out the corpse. Like that's probably one of the scenes I first watched as a kid.
Yeah.
Is when he drilled the thing right through the corpse's chest. And I was like, oh shit, what the fuck I would just watch?
And also the film gives a whole new meaning to giving head.
And then they reanimated the father of
This was one of my favorite scenes because he came back with a vengeance.
He did. And the thing is he just died. So it was like the first corpse that just died and was reanimated.
It was still so fresh.
It's fresh. And I one thing I like about Herbert West is his sinister, enthusiastic mentality of, when you see something fresh, he's quick to jump on it.
Where other people see problems, he sees an opportunity.
Yeah. Like he don't see it as a problem. He just takes the opportunity to jump all over it. And that's what he saw with the dean, that, he just died. That's perfect. Let's induct him with the what was it called again? Shit, the stuff that he injected the corpses with.
Oh. Just call it serum. I also forgot.
Reagent.
Reagent.
Yes, it was the reagent. So, he just has this sinister, enthusiastic vibe of, wanting to jump on something that's fresh, and as soon as he got it and it worked, and the thing is, the dean reacted to the daughter in a way that no other corpse reacted to. Whereas the other one reacted to him saying, hey, and he just turned around and started attacking.
Yeah.
The dean knew the daughter's voice because he was only alive like a couple of minutes alive. Yeah, so he knew the daughter's voice and just calmed down. and went to the corner. So
And as we know from The Princess Bride, there are different kind of deaths. Like,
so that whole sequence to me was great. That whole sequence was great to me, and it really showed how determined Herbert West was to make his solution work. Now, why did he fucking? This is where his curiosity got the best of him. Was when he reanimated Dr. Hill.
yeah.
Like, he saw how sinister Dr. Hill is trying to take credit for his work. It's like, oh, you're gonna give me your notes, you're gonna be my assistant, and they're gonna retire the Nobel Peace Prize because of me. And then Herbert was like, nah, I'm gonna kill you right now. He kills him by decapitating his head, and then he gets the idea of not only reanimating his severed head, but reanimating his body. And I was like, that's where your curiosity really got the best of you.
Yep, I totally did. Yeah, we already talked about it. Like, really sucked. I actually have a very interesting Stuart Gordon story to tell. When he passed away, of course, I was doing a tribute post on my Instagram, and then Holly wrote me, Jim's wife. And she told me that, she actually knew Stuart Gordon because she worked on a movie with him. And I was like, what? Holly was in the movie? And like, not she was in the movie, but she did the art for the movie. It's a Deathbed from 2002, and Stuart Gordon was the producer. And I said to Holly, oh my God, I have to get this movie when you did the art. And I got the movie. And she said, like, I shouldn't watch it. It's so bad. It's like, how bad can it be? It's like produced by Stuart Gordon. You did the art. There's one of the Esteveses in it. And then I watched it. I couldn't finish it. But Holly's art in the movie was really gorgeous.
It was gorgeous. Yeah. That was the only good thing about the movie, huh?
Exactly, yeah. But like I said, I guess nobody did more Lovecraft adaptations than Stuart Gordon. Like, not only From Beyond, Re-Animator, but we already mentioned Castle Freak, Dagon from 2001, and of course also Dreams in the Witch House, which also I totally recommend watching that one. I only think that Castle Freak is the only weak movie from his work. So it's It always sucks when we lose talented people within the community, especially when it's before their time. And before their time is basically everything under 90.
Yeah. But like I said, we're here talking about his work, and people are always going to talk about his work. And amazing.
And people will still talk many years to come about his work. And I'm pretty sure that I'm not the only guy who basically came to H.P. Lovecraft through his adaptations. Especially when you're not from the US, like when you are in Europe and in other countries where H.P. Lovecraft is not that popular when you're like a kid as a horror writer. I mean, I don't know how popular it is in the US, but usually, of course, I grew up with Edgar Allan Poe, and of course, like Bram Stoker, Mary Shelley. This like were the horror books that my mother gave me when I was a kid. But H.P. Lovecraft, I had to discover.
The funny thing about it, I discovered H.P. Lovecraft through the Cthulhu name, and I've said it before, like the whole real Ghostbuster episodes, which I have video clips of. I might post them, of the Cthulhu episode. That was probably the scariest episode I watched up there because of those creature designs. And that was my introduction to the Necronomicon. That was my introduction to H.P. Lovecraft, and just being fascinated by the creature designs of that episode made me want to explore more. And that's when later on I started watching stuff that was movies that were made with H.P. Lovecraft's name, and From Beyond and Re-Animated came up, and a couple others. So that was my introduction of his work was the Cthulhu Real Ghostbuster episode. And Cthulhu's
Yeah, and
been
it's
utilized many times.
exactly even like in Freakazoid, I think.
Yeah,
I
I
remember
remember
that
that.
was like later when I watched Freakazoid, I was like, that's
Yeah,
Cthulhu.
like
And
he
of course, yeah, and of course, also when you read the comics later, you understand a lot of stuff. Like especially like Lean Veen's early Swamp Thing stuff, very much inspired by H.P. Lovecraft. And of course, there's tons of Bronze Age Marvel horror books that have H.P. Lovecraft story. Doctor Strange, lots of inspiration by H.P. Lovecraft. In Conan, since Robert E. Howard and H.P. Lovecraft were very close to each other, writing letters to each other, inspiring each other. Roy Thomas took a lot of these elements and really made some fantastic cosmic and eldritch horror stories within Conan.
yeah, that's the thing about Lovecraftian work, is that all of his stuff spun out into various media outlets in terms of movies, TV, cartoons, comic books. There's always something that you can touch on from Lovecraft and add it to your story. You know,
Yeah, I have a whole shelf there with the role playing game Call of Cthulhu.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that makes Lovecraftian lore so fascinating, is that it can affect anything. Any type of story, you can add it into a comedy and stuff like that. But, some of them take liberties with it and don't do it right. And others, do a great job in terms of portraying how Lovecraft really wanted his stuff to be portrayed.
Totally agree with that, Sleep Reader. As somebody who listens to metal and loves comics, of course, when I was a teenager, everything had to be Lovecraftian, and then it really made you, of course, discover the books. And like Sean said, a lot of people take liberties with it because the books are pulps. Like Shadows over Innsmouth was his only more lengthy story. Otherwise, of course, when you adapt something like From Beyond from basically 7 pages, uh, you have to add stuff to it. And of
Yeah.
course, a lot of his movies, due to budget reasons, couldn't have had the historic setting or back then contemporary setting. Re-Animator was supposed to be also part in World War I. Which there's also a very interesting a game about that. Forgot the name, but I have it on Steam.
And we talked about with the way From Beyond was shot in Italy, with
Yeah,
the Italian
and
crew.
because it was way cheaper to shoot in Italy, I think the movie's effects could have even been. I mean, Büchler is a fantastic special effect artist, but when you're shooting in Italy in the 80s, there's a lot of people who would have done could have been a lot of help for cheap money. Of course, when there's a movie in Italy shootings from the US, somehow Dino De Laurentiis has to be involved.
I
And
had
I
a
think
feeling that name was going to come up.
always. I love Dino, and Dino would be probably one of the people if I had the serum from Reanimator, who I would bring back. Because we missed Dino, and he was movies were better when he was still alive.
And that's the thing though, like, even if without like you said, the special effects in From Beyond was solid already. Like, I love the body horror element of the transformation, and how, you know, what's his name? Paterius gets grosser and grosser
Yeah.
each
Oh,
appearance,
that was really well done. Really well
like
done.
like his complete change into what he became towards the end of the movie was like, why are you turning the machine on? And I like the fact that, though, the machine starts coming on himself, that he starts
Yeah.
forcing the machine to come on so he can come back, and then starts affecting the whole building, as opposed to just being in that room. And I'm like, yo, that design is freakish, it's scary, but at the same time, it's awesome, and you want to see more of it,
Yeah.
especially from when they if they would have ever crossed into that other dimension, and you
Yeah,
saw
that's like
because in the book and in the short story, Crawford sent servants over to the other dimension, and they all got killed by the creatures.
which is a little bit more explored in. There is another very B movie Lovecraft adaptation that explores that, where I think basically a professor sends students into the. It's I forgot the name of that movie, but there has been another adaptation of From Beyond from 2013. It's called Banshee Chapter. I was hoping like, oh, maybe this explores things that haven't been explored in From Beyond, but that movie was shite, sadly.
It's gonna be tough. Like people and I see that they want to do a mini series, of From Beyond, and I'm like, it's called the Resonator. It's supposed to be on Amazon Prime and stuff like that, but I I would be like, you got to have Brian User behind the scenes with it.
Yeah, or at
It
least it can it be good? Of course, it can be good. It's just that I really don't trust modern filmmakers.
Yeah, that's why I say you got to have him
Yeah,
behind the scenes on it. He's got to be at least person there and say, "Oh no, that's not going to work." You got to do it this way and stuff because he
yeah,
has experience, producing these Lovecraftian movies, and he was on the From Beyond and Re-Animated. So if you're going to go with anybody, he should at least have some say on how the miniseries or this movie going to be. If he's not involved, then this like expectations just dive because you don't know what these people are gonna do with it in terms of Hollywood and stuff like that if they want to remake it and stuff.
yeah. Hey, White
White Tiger.
Tiger, Ruben Guzman. Thanks for joining. Yeah, it's really. I probably would say we should wait 5 to 10 years until we adapt anything good. Maybe movies have recovered by then. There's sadly a yeah, it's just not a good time for movies with some few examples. Like the new Dune movie is so fucking good.
You done seen it 4 times already?
Oh no, but it's gonna be released on Blu-ray on 23rd of December, so I can't wait for that. I want to save myself now. I've watched it 2 times in cinema, but now I want to save myself to watch it then on Blu-ray with all the bonus material. Oh, this movie is so good. It's like I think you still have to wait a few days, but you gotta see that one in cinema. I wasn't so stunned by a movie in cinema since I watched The Fellowship of the Ring 20 years ago.
Wow.
And this movie was everything I wanted and more. So highly recommend to watch Dune in cinema, and hopefully we get the second part of the book, since it's only part one of the book. In the US, not yet. Here it started mid of September. It was released in Japan and Europe early. And I think in the first 3 weeks, it made for Europe big money. It made 100 million, 100 million, I think, dollars or euros in Europe, and which is a huge success. So I hope it will also get some nice box office in the US because Villeneuve is a genius, and we need the second part of the first novel. And then hopefully Dune Messiah, Children of Dune, and so forth. But yeah.
Now, one thing that's thematic with these two movies is the cast, and they rely on 4 people in each movie. It is weird, but like both of these movies rely on just 4 people as like the main cast, and I want to give a shout out to Ken Foray who played Bubba in
Yeah.
From Beyond because he's another one that's been in a lot of horror movies. Like he's like a horror movie vet. He was in one of my favorite movies, Dawn of the Dead. He was the lead guy in that one, and he's been in a lot of other movies. He was in the Dawn of the Dead remake. I forgot that he had that cameo
Yeah.
appearance in that.
And he's, I think he's born in 48 and he's still around.
Still around.
Still around. So hopefully for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, also True Law Legend. He really, he's like his character is very interesting because at first glance you think a buff character like him doesn't fit so well in this like academic horror. And with the other characters, which are all like doctors, the scientists, but I think he adds a lot of. I think he's basically the character through whom the audience witnesses the movie.
AKA,
so he's like the anchor.
AKA Winston Zedmore.
Yeah.
Think about it. Winston and 3 scientists. Who's the character that we can relate to more? Winston. Because he's the normal guy put in a situation with 3 guys who talk science stuff. And I'll say Peter is like in and out of it because sometimes he's just a womanizer and don't care. But
when you think about it, like Egon, Ray, and Wankman, they're all not that relatable. They're all crazy in their own sense.
Yeah, and then Winston's like the normal one who actually we connect to because he's not a scientist, and that's what Bubba was in From Beyond. They're like, he's not a scientist, and he has the same ideas we have. They're like, yo, get the hell out of here. We shouldn't even be messing with this machine. And it's a shame that his character ended up in a bad situation.
Yeah, really great effects, but really were like it. Poor guy.
Yeah, it's like he should have left them 2 alone in there. And he ain't really had no connection with them, so it would be like the only thing he was connected to was investigating the death of Paterius, because that was the only reason he was there, to find out what happened. But man, he could have went back to Superior, said what he saw there, and they'd be like, really, you're crazier than them.
That's what happens when you take your job too serious. Hey Jay, thanks for stopping.
Hey, you gotta watch it multiple times now.
Exactly, and of course, since you posted, also big bodybuilding fan. Don't forget to watch the Olympia this weekend. It's a media stream. I'm going right after to bed and rewatch the finals for the day on replay, because tomorrow is of course the big finals day with men's open and everything. So yeah. Then, which also when you see the body of Nick Walker, it's also very Lovecraftian. The guy has veins where he shouldn't have veins. Fantastic physique.
Another thing, like you mentioned about Barbara Crampton being 2 different characters and her being more dominant and From Beyond. But in Re-Animator, she's tied with Bruce Abbott's character, Dean Cain, who's this young, college guy who wants to get into the medical field. And I like how the beginning, the movie sets up him being determined to try and save somebody's life.
Yeah. I think he's a really strong character. Really like the actor. I think he's also fantastic in the second one. And it's on the one hand, you really suffer with him through the movie because, of course, he's getting into a lot of shit. On the other hand, you always think is, you did this to yourself, dude.
Yeah, because he got sucked into Herbert West's idea and his plan. Like the whole cat situation. The whole cat situation changed his perspective on what can be, how life is reborn with the reagent solution. And then he started getting caught up in the whole thing, the whole morgue situation with the corpses coming back and the dean coming back alive. And I'm like, man, you look at the shit you don't put yourself in. You should have just kicked Herbert out when he reanimated the cat. I want nothing to do with this. But it's again the curiosity, the scientific element of reanimation, somebody coming back alive.
Oh my god. Curiosity literally killed the cat.
Literally. It literally killed the cat. I knew you was coming with that, And that's the thing with both movies, is the curiosity, the science, the aspects from beyond that's so out of reach of human control, but they want to experiment on. They want to control it. That was whole Dr. Hill. He wanted control of the reagent. He wanted control of Herbert West's notes because he didn't want to see somebody else smarter than him.
Yeah.
So he wanted control of the situation because Herbert created this new idea of reanimation. And that's the thing that ties both movies together, is the curiosity, the scientific element, and just pleasure, because both villains has this pleasure. And that's the thing I told you off air. I did not like the whole headless sexual assault on the character. Like that out of the whole movie was the most unsettling part of that movie. And I see why they did it, but at the same time, I don't want to see it because it's just unsettling as hell.
Yeah, Barbara Crampton really did really good in both movies. Not only sexy and everything, but she really portrayed two different characters. So she has shown some range.
Yeah.
Oops, I think the connection is a little bit slow now. Am I back? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like kudos to Barbara Crampton, especially for what young of age she was back then. Like, she really did a fantastic job. And when you watch the bonus material and watch the audio commentary, which I sort of recommend but not recommend, especially with Re-Animator, because I think there's 4 or 5 actors in the audio commentary of Re-Animator, and they talk and talk and talk, and it's basically for them like a reunion, but it's pure chaos.
First time you didn't recommend the audio commentary.
Yeah, first time, because it's really chaos, but Barbara Crampton, she's laughing so much about the things she did when she was young for the movie.
Yeah, it's crazy how, she agreed to that, and that it's an actor's job, but man, and the way Dr. Hill, oh man, when they put the head, where I'm going with it. That whole sequence be like, damn, what the fuck, man? Yeah. That's so goddamn creepy, man.
It is. Like I say, it's. I wouldn't change anything about those two movies. In terms of what they, I wouldn't change anything about Re-Animator. I would make From Beyond way more serious. I think we talked a little bit about it in the pre-show. I absolutely love From Beyond, but I think it could go way darker.
Yeah.
And I think for the topic of that movie, it would fit rather well.
Yeah. Because I said,
it only explored the outer shell of what could have been possible.
And I did love the special effects of the ending. When they were both combined, Crawford and thing, and then the whole trying to escape, and then the bomb going off and stuff. I really liked that ending.
I still think that the best ending in that regard, and I have to go back again to the other movie that's called Beyond, The Beyond by Fulci. I think that end when both basically enter the other world is so magical. And I think this movie would have also very well ended if, with people just entering the dimension and look into the like in the abyss, or like they look and you just see them being stunned, and you could like imagine anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still hope one day we're gonna get like an adaptation. I mean, basically, everybody just watch Fulci's The Beyond. It's one of the best movies.
I'll put that on the list.
Yeah, and we gotta talk about that one next year.
There's a lot.
Maybe even the maybe
There's a
even
lot.
the whole.
We might have to just talk at least a horror movie once a month.
Yeah, but we have to talk about the Gates of Hell trilogy, which is basically Fulci's Zombie. Yeah, The Beyond, and what's the English title of in German, and Zombie hing am Glockenseil.
That's a mouthful for me.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny though. You know, last weekend I was watching the Warlock movies.
City of the Living Dead. City of the Living Dead.
And
It's the English title.
man, I did not like Warlock 3, man.
Warlock 3 just sticks out like a sour thump.
I didn't even cover it because I mean Abbott Bruce Payne did good as the Warlock, but he was no Julian Sands.
Yeah. I like Bruce Payne. The first time I've seen him actually was in Dungeons and Dragons in the cinema.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the best role. But yeah, the first two Warlock movies are fantastic. Absolutely loved. And Julian Sands, I think, is a very underrated actor. He also plays
I like the first Warlock movie because when Julian Sands don't get the screen time, Richard Grant makes up for it. You know, whereas the second one is all about Sands for me.
Yeah. And he plays it really creepy. In a perfect world, we would have gotten a Witcher adaptation with Julian Sands as the Witcher, because I think he really looks closer. Like, if he would have trained a little bit, he's closer to Geralt of Rivia than Henry Cavill.
I definitely saw it.
Yeah, and
absolutely. Then again, I saw him in Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, but he was also fantastic in Arachnophobia.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's another movie we got.
There, like,
that movie scared the fuck out of me because I don't like spiders. And the thought of all those spiders attacking at once was like, oh my god, that.
Yeah, it was a really good movie, like very great effects, and of course he was also in forgot the name, in Gothic, where he played Mary Shelley's husband.
Yeah, the Warlock series is definitely something we're gonna talk about.
Totally, yeah, that's one of my favorite American horror movies. Both, I remember also when I watched them as a teenager first time, and I loved them back then, and because I really like that they don't hold back.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, watching Elvira made me think of the Warlock movie because the villain in Elvira was the Warlock. Yeah. I was like, I remember the Warlock movies, man. Let me revisit those, man. And I love revisiting movies that I've seen long ago. And I vividly remember when he kissed the dude and tore his tongue out. I was like, "Oh shit, I remember that."
Yeah, I'm so happy because usually, what I don't like about American movies usually is you can tell what they can do and what they can't. So, especially when you love Italian horror movies and you know there's no limits to anything, like. You don't feel safe if you're a kid in an Italian horror movie. It probably means that you could die a cruel and horrible death. While in US movies, like, kids are mostly safe, but Warlock, fuck yeah.
They made sure they did that off screen though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Percy. Yeah, Gothic, fantastic movie. Also really psychedelic.
We're gonna get into some psychedelics when we get to that Doctor
Doctor Strange,
Strange.
to the good Doctor Strange movies. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to
But
it. Look
next
forward to
week first, we're gonna talk The Grow.
Yes. That watching that movie brings sadness to my heart, knowing it was Brandon Lee's
Yeah,
final movie, man. Like
yeah,
sometimes I have a hard time watching it because he was such a he has so much potential, man. And I always liked it. Rapid Fire and the movie with Dolph Lundgren that he did.
yeah. Little Tokyo, Showdown in Little
Showdown in
Tokyo.
Little Tokyo, yeah.
Yeah,
And then I just rewatched the movie he did with the short fight with Bolo Yin. What, 86 or 87, I think? And I was like, man, he has so much potential, man. And The Crow was his breakout movie, and sadly, it was his last.
Yeah,
But
it's really this movie has so much so many emotions for me, because not only of Brandon Lee's death, which of course back then it also gave this movie like this big aura of importance beyond that it's an awesome movie, but also that movie was so big when I was young. This was basically this was like the movie when I was a teenager, and it was such a great representation of when when you're a teenager, how you see the world with all the darkness, all the teen angst, everything, and it covers it so well. Like you really, and now like basically I'm having all the nostalgia. Yeah.
nice.
Death to the world, Cthulhu comes. Cthulhu. I love all the Cthulhu Christmas songs. They're classics.
Nice. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna post that real Ghostbusters Cthulhu.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to next week though. We're gonna have Simply Incredible on as our guest.
I hope so. I hope he has time. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll definitely chat with him through the week. Make sure that he'll be available. Because I know that's one of his favorite movies.
I think the Crow still has one of the lines that I use every time when somebody's sad, because I think it just sums up everything so well. It's like it can't rain all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Which is one of the most awesome quotes in cinema history. And The Crow, of course, was also number one of my list for the best horror comic book adaptations.
Yeah, people forget it.
I think for me, yeah, exactly. It will always be up there. It's a masterpiece. It's a product of its time in the best sort of way.
Yeah.
And can't wait to watch it next week again.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And we get to talk to Ernie Hudson.
Yeah, which is always a plus. I gotta tell you something. Today I was watching the Olympia, and you know what song played during the Olympia?
Oh,
it was a cover version of The Glow.
What?
Yeah, sung by a female, but it was really sitting there. Like it was, I think, from one pause to the other when they changed the competitors. So I was just sitting there waiting for next competitors, and suddenly I heard the song. I was like, I know this song. No.
Oh man.
It's actually a perfect song also for bodybuilding. Because you want to have that glow. And in a few days, finally, there's a Blu-ray release of the movie here.
Awesome.
Of The Last Dragon, yeah. Already pre-ordered it. It was special edition, expensive as fuck, but I was like, nah, gotta have it. The only thing was there were 3 different covers, because here they're basically taking it from the living.
Oh man!
Like it's like with comic books. Here we get the movies with variant covers.
That's the worst. Just give me all.
Oh yeah, that's a really good one. The Call of Cthulhu, the short silent movie. It's a really good one. I think it was also done. Wasn't it done by the a geographical society, or but it's a really good movie. Totally recommend that. They should totally bring that one again out on DVD because it's actually very tough to track down.
Wow, them all.
Yeah, but I can't wait to then rewatch the Last Dragon finally in perfect quality.
Nice, man. I'm glad that we put you onto that movie, man. Now you got the glow, and you've been glowing ever since, man.
Yeah,
To the point where they're using it as the Olympia bodybuilding competition.
yeah.
And your ears
we're
perked
gonna
up
do
soon as you heard it. You're like, what? I know that song.
I know that song, but it's like first of all, I was like, but it's like a different singer, but it's like it's the glow.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, it's fantastic movie. Absolutely love it. Yeah, lot of fantastic movie re-releases this month, and double dipping more than one time already. I also pre-ordered the Ultimate Edition of the 1984 Dune. Not that I already have that movie already on DVD and Blu-ray, but I need the 4K one.
That's the thing, man. We always double dip when it comes to movies because we got to have
Yeah.
the new edition. I got like freaking 3 or 4 editions of Terminator. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, God, man, how many times am I gonna buy this movie?
Yeah, it's like basically it's like there's a new Brother and new Conan. I guess I gotta, but now even if I love Conan, but I'm not gonna buy a new fucking Conan edition until there's a fucking 4K version.
That's it, man. That's it. Like, I can't keep
But-
buying these different versions and it ain't 4K yet.
Yeah, but now also Arrow Videos are releasing in October a 4K version of Profondo Rosso, one of the best Dario Argento movies, and I can't wait to see that one in 4K. Yeah, they also made the Cthulhu Carols, and those are awesome. How we got devoured by the undead.
But you know, it was great talking these two movies, and like I said, we just like scratched the surface on them.
Yeah,
But I think they're great movies to talk about. You know,
exactly. It's
and there's a lot to explore with From Beyond. Like I can stress on that fact that
it's really not fair. I have to say, it's such a fantastic movie, and yeah. Oh yeah, I also loved of course the 4-hour version of the 80s, and I'm gonna rewatch also the miniseries of that, and of course the Children of Dune in the next weeks. Like the new Dune movie, really. I mean, Dune was always one of my favorite science fiction franchises. It was actually I discovered it first because of the video game Dune 2. You know, the real-time strategy game.
you know what, when it comes to Dune, man, it's like I watched the original version and then the 4-hour version. Once you watch the extended cuts, you never go back to the original. Unless you know, sometimes the original is tighter, and you know, but the 4-hour extended version gives you more. Like, you already asking for more, and then when you watch, it's like Lords of the Rings. You watch the extended cut, you never watch.
Yeah, it's like there's only the extended cuts. The crazy thing with the original Dune movie from '84 is you have to have read the book in order to make sense of the movie, but the movie is so much different from the book.
That's the thing, man. It's like, and I'm one that didn't read the book because people always say read the book, but then you watch the movie and it's completely different. It's like, what the fuck? Like,
I totally recommend it. I just reread it again, and it has lost nothing of its power. It's so fantastic, and
yeah.
now I'm gonna read all the 6 novels again. Good thing I'm soon on vacation.
Lucky you, man.
Yeah.
I don't go on vacation till after Thanksgiving here, so that's another month.
Still, it's soon. It's like 1 month is no time. It's like time is moving crazy fast.
It'll be 2022 before you know it, man. Probably tomorrow.
Yeah. But luckily I got a real lot of reading done in the last weeks, since basically I'm too chaotic to do anything else when I I like until I'm vacation, like I'm working. It's the new movie is very close to the book. There's some parts that may touch if they do a sequel, which I think totally makes sense to shift a little bit. It without spoilers, it sums some stuff up, but it's totally understandable. The wonderful thing about the new Dune movie is that if you have no idea about the novel, you can go in, enjoy it. Fantastic science fiction movie, one of the best science fiction movies, probably the best science fiction movie in the 2000s. And if you have read the book, you get so much more from it. It's it really has the best of two worlds. So everybody can enjoy the movie. The sound mixing is excellent. It just you sit in the cinema and it goes like into your body. The effects are on such a grand scale. Like when you see the guild ships, it's like you're just sitting there stunned. And yeah, it's the casting was also really fantastic. Uh, like this movie, like as I said before, it was everything that I hoped for and much more. And I don't think that anybody who read the books could possibly be disappointed by the movie. There's always some changes, but this movie made the right changes for it being a movie that is for 2.5 to 3 hours long. And I really hope we're gonna get a sequel. But even if we don't get a sequel, the visualization of this world, it even if you I would that's why I'm totally recommending reading the books again after this movie, because what I like with novels usually is you create the world yourself, but the world that Villeneuve created after the original Dune novel is so perfect that you want to imagine the books within this timeline. Like I can't praise this movie high enough. It's
I'm looking forward to it, man.
yeah.
I am looking forward to it.
And the wonderful thing is, it doesn't think the audience is stupid. It doesn't need to. Yeah, it's like it takes the audience for responsible adults with brains, which is so rarely nowadays. It's just wonderful. I can't wait to watch it again. Already pre-ordered the 4K version on Blu-ray. And first things first, on December 23rd, it's already. I can't believe it's already out there in December. I really think that Warner Brothers makes a lot of money fast, so they can hopefully fast track the sequel. Because Villeneuve said he's ready to do it.
I am looking forward to watching this movie, man.
And we should then. Yeah, and after the December, maybe we can also do a stream about the '84 movie.
Yeah. That'll work for me.
Yeah. And I give a shit about the Oscars. But Oscar Isaac needs to get the best supporting actor for his portrayal of Leto Atreides. Like, when you've seen Oscar Isaacs in movies like the X-Men and of course the Star Wars movies, where like these shitty movies, he's so underused. And for the first time ever, since I don't watch a lot of movies outside of the fantastic science fiction horror genre, for the first time ever, I've seen what Oscar Isaac can do as an actor, and he's brilliant. So like, wow.
I completely forgot that he was fucking Apocalypse.
Sorry for that.
I was like, damn, I know Oscar Isaac, but I forgot about that fucking Apocalypse movie. That I tried to erase that movie from my mind.
Well, I guess that was not my good deed of today.
No, you're good, man. It's just that, man, I forgot he was Apocalypse, and that was horrible. And he deserved
Yes.
better than that, man. He deserved better
Yeah.
than that.
Like, he would be like Doctor Doom. He would nail that.
Yeah. I could see it in him. He just looks like
Yeah.
Victor Von Doom.
Yeah, that would be totally perfect. But yeah. But not within the MCU because they would also dumb down everything.
He's gonna be fucking Moon Knight.
Really? I have never, like, I didn't even read about anything Moon Knight.
Yeah, he's supposed to be Moon Knight.
I hope they give him a decent script. I really hope they give him a decent script.
I'm more interested in seeing him play Solid Snake though. Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, that will work too. He's a busy guy.
I know. I see that. I'm interested to see how he portray that.
Yeah, but as Leto Atreides, I really liked the performance of Jürgen Prochnow in the first movie, which I think was very fitting, but his portrayal is so spot on.
Yeah, looking forward to watching that movie, man.
Yeah. So, do you have any plans this weekend?
I'm gonna do a live stream Saturday, 3 p.m. Time with the comic community. And we will be back. Comic Call crew will be back Saturday night. We're gonna talk big cons versus small cons. Which are the better ones? And I definitely got a lot to say about that because I went to a big con and I went to some small cons, and while both have their positives and negatives, the smaller cons get the advantage for us comic book people because they're all about the comics. So we're gonna have a nice discussion on that.
Yeah, I'm also not a big fan of cons where they try to lure people in with actors and stuff. I mean, if they would call themselves pop culture cons, etc., it's fine. But if there's a comic con and there's like one fucking place where you can buy comics, it's like, fuck you.
San Diego needs to eliminate the Comic Con part of their con because they are not a Comic Con.
Yeah, San Diego is like a mainstream bullshitter.
Yeah,
and
the fact that they've gotten lesser and lesser comic book vendors there, it's like, what's the point of holding on to that name, but yet trying to stop other cons from calling themselves Comic Cons?
Yeah,
I'll talk more about that tomorrow. It should be a fun chat though.
I'm probably gonna watch everything on Sunday on the Rewind because tomorrow I'm getting up and watching Mr. Olympia. Then I'm gonna cook, and then there's the finals for Mr. Olympia, which gonna be a long night. So probably Sunday is only rewatching movie and just watching YouTube on the Rewind and sleeping.
That's it, man. I'm hoping there's a Silver Age Sunday, but I'm always down for it. Oh yeah, and that's right. I forgot to mention tonight at 8 p.m. on my channel. I have a premiere, of the comic meetups from back in like May and June. I never really put these videos out outside of maybe one, but I combined them together, and I got a premiere tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, and it's gonna show off me and Steve and the other guys at comic shops, and the meeting of Flash Gordon, Sam J. Jones.
He saves everyone of them.
He saves everyone, man. Savior.
It reminds me, my Flash Gordon figure has again been postponed until December.
Oh man!
I pre-ordered the bastard 2 years ago.
So yeah, so that'll premiere tonight. Later, Gray Man. Have a great night. And yeah, I'm excited that I finally put it together. Because I didn't have enough footage for like one video, but with combining them, I was like, shit, it's 30 minutes. Great video.
Awesome. I'm also gonna watch that on Sunday, since, like I said, the next day, tomorrow for me, is only breathing, eating, and watching the Olympia, Mr. Olympia.
And catching the glow.
Exactly. Hopefully, they play the song again. But it was like really sitting there, and it's like, oh my goodness.
If we never did the last Dragon live stream, that song would have went over your head. And they'd be like,
exactly. I would just sit there. It's like, that's a cool song, but now it's like, this is so much more.
So, but yeah, thanks everybody for showing up in the chat. It's been a
fantastic chat today. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to you, Sean, for being here like every Friday. It's, like I always say, the best thing to get the weekend started.
That's it. And I always enjoy these. I can't. It'd be like you can't wait for the weekend, but I can't wait for Friday so I can come on here and talk to movies.
Exactly. So, only thing left to say is, have a savage weekend, and milk is for babies.
Later, y'all.
Bye-bye.